It's 6:06 on Tuesday, February 1st, 2022, and I hereby call this regularly scheduled meeting of the City Council to order. Could you please bow your heads for invocation by Councilman Marr?
Lord, we ask you to watch over the city of Diamondhead, guide its leadership so that they can work for the betterment of its citizens. We ask you, Lord, to also watch over our nation and guide the leaders there so that they can come up with right calls for the benefit of all its citizens. Lord, we ask you to take care of those who are in need, those who are in suffering, those who are in distress, and we ask you to help make us your instruments. Amen.
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 Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mayor DeBrio.
here.
Councilmember Finley.
Here.
Councilmember Morian.
Here.
Councilmember Shepherd.
Here.
Councilmember Clark.
Here.
Councilmember Marr.
Here.
I'm going to move to amend the agenda to add under the action agenda number 19A. And the motion will read 2020-050. It should be 2022-050. Motion to authorize the Planning Commission to hold a public hearing and make a recommendation to the City Council to amend the subdivision regulations. The proposed text amendments would require that the finished floor elevations on each lot of the final plat, as well as identify the existing ground elevations at the four corners at the building setback lines. We changed this to say, okay, let me modify it again because this isn't exactly right. The proposed text amendments would require the finished floor elevations on each lot on the grading and drainage plan of the construction plans to identify the existing ground elevations at the four corners at the building setback lines and the finished floor. An amendment on action agenda item number 3 on page 18 or page 3 of this motion to amend to change the address shown in section 2 from 5569 Diamondhead Drive East to 542 Lakeview Court. Can I get a motion to move as amended? Motion made by Councilman Clark. Can I get a second?
I would also like to move another item.
Okay.
I'd like to move number 1822-046 regarding the email blast. I'd like to move that to action so we can have some discussion.
Okay, what number is that?
Number 18.
All right. We'd love to discuss that to the action agenda. So that'll be
Ma'am.
number 19B. All right, could I get a motion to move as amended? And there's 3 items that we amended.
Moved.
Motion made by Councilman Finley. Could I get a second? Second made by Councilman Clark. All in favor? Aye. The next regularly scheduled meeting of the City Council will be held on Tuesday, February the 15th, 2022 at 6 p.m. in the Council Chamber at City Hall located at 5000 Diamondhead Circle. Next, we have Mr. Jason Kenichi that will come up and present to us the Bayou Drive kayak launch repairs and improvements.
Good evening, everyone. It's nice to be back in Diamondhead. I want to talk about some exciting improvement to the Bayou Drive kayak launch and the pathway. So if you recall, it's been quite some time. We talked about widening the pathway. It's been probably close to a year, I guess, right? Going down to the launch itself to allow for vehicular access to go down, drop off their equipment, and then drive back up to the parking area. So that's included in the permit application that we've submitted for you to consider. We're also looking to make some improvements to the kayak launch itself. As you're well aware, the floating dock floated away in one of the storms. So we've been working with Mr. Riso for a while to come up with a better plan I think we came up with a great idea to put in and install a fixed ramp so that it's on an angle, it's sloped down to the water's edge, and that way you could launch your kayak from either side of the ramp depending on what water level is out there. If you've been out there, that water level varies greatly. We went out there last week at low tide. You could walk across just about half of Rotten Bayou. So this would allow that ramp to actually go down to that sandbar. If it's in a very low tide, then you can launch from there. Or during other tidal fluctuations, you'd be able to launch your kayak from the edge or both sides of that ramp. It'd be fixed, so it wouldn't float up and down with the water. We don't think this is going to be an issue from a tidal standpoint. When we do have a lot of heavy rains and the water is rushing through Rotten Bayou, there won't be any structure to float and get knocked around by the wave action. Everything will be submerged at that point. It'll attach to the existing pier that's there. We'll have some steps to go down onto the ramp, and then it will ramp down from there. So it'd be very easy to get all the equipment down to a lower level to launch from that point. And the decking, we're proposing to go with the fiberglass. It's like an FRP grating. It's got a lot of traction to it. It's very, very UV resistant. It doesn't trap water like deck boards typically do. So if we have any wave action in that area, they come up through the grating, and it doesn't put a lot of stress on the superstructure of the ramp. That's our concept.
So this is the hurricane repairs type improvements we're doing?
Yes, ma'am.
And this is going to be funded how?
We would fund it out of the general fund.
Can
Is
I
there-
ask a question on this? There's going to be a lot of debris traveling down the river, especially when it comes up. Are you concerned anyway about that debris getting trapped up there and that causing more damage?
The end of the ramp is we're actually going to add 2 additional piling outside the end to help protect that piling or the end of that ramp from any debris that could strike it. If you look at the situation, the way it's oriented, it's coming around a bend. So a lot of that velocity is on the outside of it.
Okay.
So most of that debris should be in that floating area, water column. We also are going to add some reflective signage to those pilings so that boaters that are traveling through that area will know that there's a structure there, so that it's just more apparent to them.
Any questions to my right?
Down here on the south side, do we have a future plan for something similar? There's one?
Yeah, we have some.
Okay. Because I know it was very tough carrying a kayak through the little zigzag there for a few moments. So
Right.
I was wondering if the future there was a
Yeah, so
float.
that pier was modified to allow more direct access down to that kayak launch.
Okay.
That's how we handled it at that point.
Okay, good. All right. I know I hadn't seen that one in a while, so I was
Yeah.
wondering. Okay, good. Thank you.
To my left? So I'm back to FEMA funding because I'm about the money that we're doing here. Did we get any money for repairs for FEMA? Did we put in a project worksheet
This
for
was
the
not a
damage?
project worksheet. Hurricane Zeta did some damage to it, but did not destroy it. It had a couple of breaks, but it was functioning. It was not Hurricane Claudette's the one that took it, lifted it higher than the pylons, and floated it downstream. So Claudette, FEMA, we were actually working with the vendor to just buy the parts and screw it back together, basically. It wasn't anything significant.
So we didn't do a project worksheet
Not
on that?
not on this.
And I was just thinking if we had repeat project worksheets in, then we could do H&GP grant funding as a source of revenue instead of us having to expense these funds. But since we haven't claimed it, it's going to be difficult to prove in H&GP, isn't it? So, do you have an estimated cost?
We're estimating for the ramp itself around $35,000 to $40,000, and again, it could fluctuate with the cost of lumber that we're all seeing right now. So that's what we estimate currently.
Well, it sounds like an excellent plan. Great job.
Thank you. I think it lays out well. I mean, it's a little unconventional, but I think it's going to work out well for everybody to be able to launch a lot easier and be more sustainable for the city.
Okay. Well, thank you very much.
And just to comment on the pathway down that we had talked about literally probably over a year ago, because it was before Zeta.
Yeah.
And you had drawn up some plans, and then Zeta hit, and so we just didn't get to that and had other priorities at the time. That basically will expand the current path on each side by a couple of feet so that a vehicle can go from the current parking lot down to the bottom, park, turn around, drop, and then return up and park at the top. There is no parking at the bottom, but that was a complaint we've gotten from a lot of people on having, it was just very difficult to basically transport and carry that kayak such a distance up that elevation.
It was extremely difficult, and for some folks, it was impossible. And we do have the handicap ADA launch on the south side if people need that, if you do have a disability. All right, any further questions? Thank you, Mr.
All righty.
Kenichi, excellent job.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
The Dog Park Day will be held April 9th, 2022, from 11 to 4 on the south side of Airport Drive. This will be loaded up to the city's website. This year, it's going to be massive with a cook-off, tons of other events, T-shirt sale. We've got vendors coming in, so it's going to be a very, very big production, and we're excited about it. More information's coming out on that. 1 year today, we lost Lieutenant Michael Butte. He was killed in the line of duty. So tonight, we want to remember Lieutenant Michael Butte and everything that he did for the city. We couldn't even begin to list all his hard work and how hard he worked and how he knew all of us. He knew when he drove by your house your name. It was unbelievable. So we ask that you please continue to pray for his family and his fellow officers, the men and women in blue. And we ask for God's hands and protection over them. Next, we're going to move on to the city manager's report. Michael Russo.
Yes, ma'am. I'm seeking authorization to renew our agreement with SMPDD to provide economic development and grant writing services to the city on an as-needed basis. This is an agreement we have had in place the last few years. Again, it's as needed. I think it's $6,000, and it is part of our FY22 budget. Main Street Association, the City of Diamondhead has been accepted as a network community by Mississippi Main Street. Our next step is to sign the agreement to begin having them help us set up the local Main Street organization. Natalie Guest has been hired as a consultant to help us create that organization. She has started making contact with local business owners and inviting other volunteers to get involved as we look to kind of set up a board and kind of move that process forward. But our next step is the agreement. I actually will go, if y'all agree to it, go click on that tonight in DocuSign when I leave this meeting because there is a deadline. Pickering and engineering work assignments. There are 2 new work assignments on the agenda for Pickering. These are for dredging Lily Pond on Diamondhead Drive North and the retention pond off of Diamondhead Drive East. The city hired Pickering to design the dredging work, which has been completed, to survey and to begin the permitting process, which is in action. The next step will be specification development, bid phase services, and construction engineering and inspection. This work assignment, or both of these work assignments, would take us through complete construction of doing the dredging in both of these ponds and using an outside vendor to do it. We had discussion about trying to use our Public Works Department to do it as a way to kind of save a few dollars. Our Public Works Department has been committed and doing a lot of work, especially on ditch digging and ditch cleaning over the last 9 months or whatever it is now. And this would take that and put a halt to basically that type of work. So I'd rather recommend that we outsource it, bid it, and have Pickering draw up those specs and take us through that process. Land acquisition on Crooked Stick. I'm seeking authorization to begin negotiations with the owner of the parcel on Crooked Stick. At a previous meeting, the council asked me to see if the owner would be willing to sell this for permanent green space for drainage. At the time the parcel was under contract, the owner has contacted me to inform me that they would sell the parcel to the city for $38,000. If the council is interested, I'll then order the 2 appraisals to find out what the highest fair market value is and begin negotiations with that property owner. This lot would provide the city access from the north portion of the new detention area we're trying to put in Glen Eagle, and there is a lot of drainage water that does pass through this lot. Also, just want to give an update. The parking lot outside, you saw Saturday they were laying sod. They intend, it appears, to pave this parking area once this rain passes through. So it could be Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday that you'll see the paving coming in. So hopefully that project will be coming to a close shortly, and you'll see some transition and people can begin parking out front again. And that's conclusion.
All right. Any questions for the city manager to my left? Any questions to the right? I have a few things just very quickly. Audit Committee, so we've got on the agenda to approve for the 2021 fiscal year audit. So can we get on the next agenda, the Audit Committee, because that's always a terrific tool to use, and we learn from it. We learn how to improve from it, and we learn what's going on with it. So if we could get that on the next agenda. Diamondhead Drive North, the area that water sewer has taken the asphalt off. I get a complaint every day on that, every single day. So when is the asphalt going to be laid?
We were actually talking about that this morning, to have this paving company, because it's a large area, to get a quote from this paving company that will be here, compared to us getting multiple loads of asphalt. So they're supposed to give us a quote to, while they pave this, to pave that.
Okay, excellent. And then we forward the bill on to water sewer.
Actually, we would actually just forward the quote to them, and ask them to make the arrangements to get it done. So
Okay, and
we
that'll
try to stay
save
out of that one,
everybody
since,
money.
given that situation.
That'll save the taxpayers
The
and the
bigger,
ratepayers.
the bigger space that's impacted, we have a 3-ton asphalt container, which means if you start getting over 3, you got to make multiple trips
Right.
to go pick it up and bring it back, and so for this type of space that's involved out here, and there's a couple of other ones that it's just easier. And Moran actually recommended this morning, I know Stanley had talked to him about who is good to just do small jobs. Who, if you just had something like that, can you just call out and they'll come? And they said Land Shapers was a recommendation. So we'll probably keep them on a short, quick, come out, do the work. If it's too big for one of our little 3-ton carriers.
And they do excellent work. They've done work in the city numerous times. I've known work they've done over the coast, and they do an excellent job. Let's just do what we can do. And we need it fixed in a timely manner, because I do receive phone calls every day, and rightfully so. There's holes, it's washed out, and it's on our main road. And Honolulu, Diamondhead Drive North, that intersection is heavily traveled. The other thing, Devil's Elbow, I met with Stanley. Well, Diamondhead Drive North, there's a hole, and it's probably 3 feet by 3 feet, 4 feet deep. Can we please get that fixed before the parade? Because that is a major, and I've been living on Diamondhead Drive North since '93, and the traffic on parade day is massive. We don't want somebody accidentally driving off in that.
There's actually a quote that Stanley got for that, on what it would cost, the material pieces, in my email from this afternoon for that project.
Excellent, okay. That's the only things I had. Thank you very much. Any other questions? All right, could I get a motion to approve the January 18th, 2022 regularly scheduled meeting minutes?
So
Move.
Motion made by Councilman Shepherd. Could I get a second?
Second.
Second made by Councilman Marr. All in favor? Aye. City Clerk, was there any public comments on the agenda? Thank you. Resolution 2022-031, a motion to adopt Resolution 2022-008, thereby acquiring by donation certain real property for drainage and or green space from Timothy Belkey. Could I get a motion?
Move.
Motion made by Councilman Clark. Could I get a second?
Second.
Second made by Councilman Marr. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Roll call.
Oh, roll call, sorry. City Clerk?
Finley,
Yes.
Moran,
Yes.
Shepherd,
Yes.
Clark.
Yes.
Marr,
Yes.
Mayor.
Yes. And now we're going to enter into a public hearing for the real property located at 542 Lakeview Court. Is Louis A. Cambry or Perry Cambry or a representative here? Second time. Is Louis A. Cambry or Perry Cambry or any of their representatives here? Third call. Is Louis A. Cambry or Perry Cambry or any of their representatives here tonight for the public hearing? I hereby call the public hearing closed. Motion 2022-042, a motion to adopt Resolution 2022-009, to adjudicate that the abandoned vehicle located at 542 Lakeview Court, parcel number 132A-2-03-12.000 is in a state of uncleanliness or a menace to the public health, safety, and welfare of the community. Authorization to advertise and to obtain quotes to perform the necessary services to remove the vehicle from the property. Could I get a motion?
Move.
Motion made by Councilman Finley. Could I get a second?
Second.
Second made by Councilman Shepherd. Any discussion to my left? Any discussion to my right? All in favor?
Aye.
Oh,
Roll call.
I am sorry. I'm on a roll tonight.
Trying to rush this meeting.
Ward 1,
Yes.
Ward 2,
Yes.
Ward 3.
Yes.
Ward 4.
Yes.
At large.
Yes.
Mayor.
Yes. 2022-047, motion to adopt resolution 2022-010, thereby reappointing Bob Armstrong to a 4-year term to represent the city on the Hancock County E911 Commission. Could I get a motion?
Move.
Motion made by Councilman Clark. Could I get a second?
Second.
Second made by Councilman Marr. Any discussion? City Clerk.
Ward 1,
Yes.
2,
Yes.
3,
Yes.
4.
Yes.
At large.
Yes.
Mayor.
Yes. Motion to approve consent agenda items 5 through 17.
Move.
Motion made by Councilman Finley. Could I get a second?
Second.
Second made by Councilman Shepherd. All in favor? Aye. Action agenda item 2022-041, motion to concur with the Planning Commission recommendation to approve David Beckner's application requesting a variance from the zoning Article 4.19 to allow construction of a pool enclosure within 11.3 feet of the rear property line. The property is located at 7433 Turnberry Drive. The tax parcel number is 067N-1-35-010-000. The property is an R1 zoning district. The rear setback is 20 feet. The variance requested for the pool enclosure is 8.7 feet. The case file number is 0221100562. Could I get a motion to concur?
Move.
Motion made by Councilman Moran. Could I get a second?
Second.
Second made by Councilman Clark. Any discussion?
I'd like to hear from Ron the variance, why he gave the go-ahead for this.
Good evening. The reason the staff as well as the Planning Commission supported this is that there have been, in the past, there have been several variances on the golf course for a porch expansion or a covering where that it was up to 11 feet that has been approved. Now, there have been others recently that was much closer than that, 2 feet, but there have been several cases that we have approved in the area of 11 feet. And so, and it was just a sliver or a corner of that, a pool enclosure. It's not the entire one. It's really just a sliver. And so with that, the staff was very comfortable asking to have it approved.
The lot is irregularly shaped as
Yes,
well.
yes.
It is a pie lot, so one whole corner is way over 20 feet
Yes.
off the rear yard
Correct.
setback.
Yes.
Just a little, because the lot's shaped like a pie, the other corner just caught an edge of it.
That's right.
Okay,
Exactly right, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jones.
thank you. Is there any other questions, comments? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Action agenda item 19A, 2022-050. A motion to authorize the Planning Commission to hold a public hearing and make recommendations to the City Council to amend the subdivision regulations. The proposed text amendments would require finished floor elevations on each lot, as well as the existing ground elevations at the four corners at the building setback lines on the grading and drainage plan of the construction plans. Could I get someone to move?
Move.
Councilman Clark, could I get a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Shepherd. Any discussion to my left? Any discussion to my right? And this came up, I'll talk quickly about it. We have subdivisions that's already been approved in the plans, and in between that process, we approved the net fill policy, which doesn't allow fill in the side yard setbacks, which if you've already had a plan approved and the roadways are already built, we're set at certain elevations. Those plans have to be designed with all the criteria for the net fill already in the plans before you can implement it. So we learned a lesson trying to force people to do something on something that was already designed. It was impossible. So this will help Mr. Jones and the building department moving forward. The existing grades will be on the setback lines. We know where the ground is. No fills allowed in that. We know where the finished floor is. When subdivisions come in, we'll be able to move a lot quicker with a lot less stress for Mr. Jones. All right, all in favor? And he's happy about that. He needs some relief. All in favor? Aye. Action agenda item number 18, motion to authorize, motion to approve and establish procedures for consent agenda e-blast messaging. Could I get a motion? Aye. Motion made by Councilman Finley. Could I get a second?
Second.
Second made by Councilman Clark. Any discussion to my left? Any discussion to my right?
I'd like to ask, what exactly are we trying to do with this?
We are trying to know what the e-blasts say before they go out, which we should do anyhow. Before we disseminate information out to the public, we need to know. Currently, as it stands, let's say Councilman Moran sent something to the city manager and asked it to be e-blasted. Well, it would be e-blasted, and we may not even know, or we may not agree with it. So this is just to allow us to read it prior to it being e-blasted.
I guess my question I worry about is if we're gonna circulate an email in between everybody, we're voting.
Yeah, I was about to say we got.
You're not going to vote. You're not going to vote, but you're going to know. So, and if you have an objection on it, then you need to, clearly call the city manager. Do not reply all like we
Right.
always do now. Do not reply all.
So, Derek, can you kind of,
Mayor, that's kind of the concern from my perspective is while you're not all saying yes or no in an email, if you're encouraging a debate, you're encouraging a response that may be, hey, I've got an objection to this, so then it gets pulled off. So my concern, we've seen some of the things that have happened in Bay St. Louis with, some of the open meeting violations with these emails. The Ethics Commission is getting really kind of ticky with the emails. My concern from a legal perspective is to protect you all. If the Ethics Commission comes and says you guys are having a meeting online, you all get fined, not the administration.
Right.
So just as protection for you,
Just don't reply like we do with all the emails the city manager sends all of us.
but again, if one person does reply and says, I don't like it this time, you're having a meeting.
Right.
Well,
And that's the
even-
same thing with all the
even
emails we get.
Well, if you get an email from the administration, that's not a violation of the public, the open meeting rules. But when you guys are emailing amongst yourselves, where you guys are formulating public opinion or making a decision by email rather than a public meeting, that's a potential violation. That's all I'll say. You guys.
well, I guess my thought on this is that the email blast should be just for public service announcements or public safety. Because if we
I
start
agree.
putting a lot of other things on there, people start seeing it and maybe not pay attention to it. If we're gonna do advertising for a business, I think the city's Facebook place, if we wanna support a business or something like that, that's great. But I don't think that we should use our email blast for that. I think that should be strictly just public information.
What are we trying to catch with this net? Why did it come up now? I personally don't want to hear about an e-blast. You're going to turn the lights on the Christmas tree at 7 o'clock. I don't just see where we haven't needed it before. this just seems like an unnecessary step to me. I don't know, what are we trying to catch? What are we
We're
looking at?
trying to catch, and I'll blatantly say it. You know, we sent out an e-blast, and, you know, it was wrong, and we sent it out, you know, and it wasn't right. And I don't want us caught with e-blasts that are wrong, you know, are sent out incorrectly. I feel, and we don't have to vote on it. We can change it where all e-blasts need to be sent out to the council before they're e-blasted. That's simple. Like we do with all the emails the city manager sends us all the time. Just send it politely. Do the courtesy of it.
I guess my question is, though, if one person objects, do we hold an email up for that? And we're voting again.
No,
Is
you
it-
shouldn't vote. Do you vote on the email that you got today saying, this is what I'm doing with the employees or any of the, nope, you read it and that's fine. So
Right,
we
but-
won't have where you vote on it, but
But if one of you then takes that email and says, hey, I object to it, or correct this, or I don't like whatever word, are you guys?
And then it's gotta be sent
so
out.
what's
going
gonna stop that from every email the city manager sends? Every email he
and you
sends, one
guys-
of us could respond, this is no
Right,
different.
But what he's emailing you is, we're going to have a public meeting, and you're going to vote in public. If he's just sending you an e-blast, and you're not going to vote in public, you're voting behind the scenes. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, well, we
That's the
just won't,
difference,
nobody
because everything-
respond to it like we do with the other, and the city manager wants this, he does.
I would do want to speak in favor of.
Can you just blind
Uh,
CC?
I-
Just blind CC. And
Exactly.
it goes straight back to you. That way,
I would
well,
like to speak in favor of the idea of the council creating or approving an e-blast policy. Because myself, Jeannie, and Tammy have been put in positions to send emails that we disagree with, that we don't think are appropriate. And then we get challenged on it. And then it becomes like this. And it's not positive. That email, like I think Ricky was just saying, it should be limited to certain types of distribution.
Sure.
Okay, anything that's outside of, hey, a city council meeting is Tuesday. There's the festival on Wednesday.
we're hiring.
We're hiring. City business, city events, there's a storm coming. Yesterday, we had someone impersonating our police captain. We wanted to get that information out immediately to residents because people were calling, asking for debit card information, saying they were calling from our police. They were downstairs in City Hall saying they were next to the police captain. We want that out immediately, saying, don't give anybody your credit card information. They wanted debit cards particularly,
Right.
okay?
Mike,
So that's something we want to be able to get out.
You
But
don't-
I don't think we ought to be, that we should, administration, be, if Alan, we're going to pick on Alan for a second, if Alan sends me, hey, I want you to send out this notice, I think I ought to say is, no, it's not acceptable. You need the council to approve that and turn in an RCA, let the council vote on it, and we go and we'll send it out if the council approves.
I think a blind
well,
CC.
I
we
think
only
Alan's
we
right.
reply to you only, where it goes straight to you. We can't see each other. If you included 30 people, we won't even know it that way.
Well, everything I send to y'all is blind CC, just
That's
to
right.
protect.
This is no
Just to
different.
say, if someone
Right.
hits
Good.
the
This is
file-
no different.
but I,
no different.
No
But the
different.
point is, that right there will cover
But-
us,
but
and if
if-
somebody disagrees,
But
But-
if, so if I'm gonna send out an e-blast, okay, and one person disagrees with something, I don't even know what it can be, am I not supposed to say, hey, Tammy, Jeannie, don't send that?
No,
Because
and it
Alan
shouldn't.
Alan doesn't like the language.
If
It shouldn't
I'd
even
rather-
be about, we are sitting up here, so let's, you four get this straight. We're sitting up here, we're elected, and we're trusted by 9,536 people. You all are here because we allow you to be here, and we entrust that you're gonna do a good job representing the 9,536 people that we have. All we're asking, and we can just change it to send the e-blast, blind CC, like all the emails we get, and that way we have a forewarning before it's e-blasted out, and we can't take it back. We
But-
don't. We know then you're sending this, and we're prepared.
I still think we're treading.
I think this is what needs
Yeah,
to be
I
done.
think we're really treading.
Wait, when you're
You're
talking
treading
about
on
a policy.
every email, Ricky.
Excuse me,
Every
excuse
email.
me. When you're
Excuse me,
talking- I
excuse
was
me,
talking
Gerard.
before you started
No, I
talking
didn't
about
hear
me.
you. Shh, we can't have unruly,
I
because this
know,
gets
that's what I'm
back to.
saying. You can't
Okay,
cut
any
me off.
discussion to the left?
So, when you're talking about a policy, the city council should be the ones formulating the policy, but it's not as per email, it's just, here's what you do to make a decision
Right.
on whether to e-blast.
I
Not
agree.
to send out each e-blast and say, do you
Correct.
approve this or not? The policy should be how you handle it, what you handle, and we make that decision as a council. We don't do it on a blast by blast by blast. It's like, then we entrust the people that we said we're going to entrust to run the city. We entrust your judgment to handle it from that point once you have the policy
I agree with
rules.
that.
100%.
And I agree with that 100% too. We want specific things put out, but we want to know what they are. And right now,
Enact a policy.
there's 9,536 people that can get an e-blast, and we have no control over what it says.
Right,
We
so-
have zero. It can be about a dog running down the street, or this or that. It can be about anything, and I'm not going to
So-
sit here in my position and be that loosey-goosey. I will not let it happen again. I will not. So I say that we direct the legal counsel, since he's very good at this, to write as a policy, have it on the next agenda, and let's discuss it.
I second that.
I will do that.
I'm good with that.
I can live with that.
All right, we all good on that?
I'm fine.
Good.
And that was very interesting. I enjoy. We need
Look,
to discuss
debate-
this.
debate-
Debating is
Debate
good.
is an okay thing.
This proves that we don't talk before the meetings.
This is exactly how it should work. Thank you
But
all.
we need a policy, because we're not doing our job.
Mayor,
We're
I-
not doing, we're
I agree
elected.
100%. A policy will make it clear, and it will avoid. And just to reiterate, the difference is, anytime Mike sends you all an email, it's in anticipation of a public vote. It's not a, and so that's the difference when he gives you information about agenda items.
Right.
So that's the clear distinction. But thank you all. It was a great debate.
It was, and I'm glad we're addressing it, because we should have long done that. All right, could I get a motion to approve the docket of claims DKT 159241-DKT 159276 in the amount of $244,366.22?
Move.
Motion made by Councilman Maureen. Could I get a second?
Second.
Second made by Councilman Shepherd. All in favor?
Aye.
Could I get a motion to approve December 2021 Police Department reports, December 2021 Code Enforcement reports?
I move.
Motion made by Councilman Clark. Could I get a second?
Second.
Second made by Councilman Marr. All in favor? Aye. City Clerk, is there any public comments on non-agenda items?
Wow.
Okay, any need for executive session? And you're going to write our policy? Okay. And
And
council,
I
if
will
you
send
see,
it,
if
and I
you
will
see,
send it to all, it'll be sent to all of you well in advance of the next meeting so that you have plenty of time to take a look at it.
and that's okay to do. And I guess if you see something, because that was an RCA I put, because I felt we weren't doing our job up here. I felt it was loosey-goosey and anything could be sent out. So if you ever see that in the future, reach out.
I have in the past, and I actually sent an email in response to that the day it was sent out, so.
Oh, I didn't get one. I didn't get it. Okay. Could I get a motion to adjourn?
Move.
Motion made by Councilman Finley. Councilman Warren, did you want to add something? All right.
Just
Could I
moving.
get a second?
Second.
The mayor's on a roll, so behave, gentlemen, to my right. Could I get a second?
Second.
Second made by Councilman Warren. That's what he wanted to say.